Hey guys, so I um, decided to go ahead and join another draft since that last one ended very prematurely. This time I was trying to go for a Golgari draft uh, in Return to Ravnica. I mean, I wouldn't force it. It's one of the hardest guilds to draft. I think it actually is the hardest guild to draft, but it's the one guild I haven't drafted yet, so I was going to try. But I need to get up early tomorrow and can't wait for the queues. So went with Gatecrash instead. In this pack, Simic Manipulator is actually really quite bomby sometimes, especially if you can get it early, so I will take that, and hopefully Simic will be nice and open. The other good cards in there. Ooh. Oozeflux is actually not bad. I mean, I've seen it work pretty well, especially if you can go into late game. That being said, I wish there were some other green creatures, although it seems like it was just an uncommon that was taken. Nothing really. Just Simic isn't open, so I will go ahead and take the Oozeflux. I also feel like if that person was playing Simic, they probably would take Oozeflux, as it is not a terrible enchantment. It is somewhat anti-synergistic with the Simic Manipulator, but hopefully we'll get plenty of other evolved creatures to get stuff passed on to. Also, I really didn't see anything there that was totally awesome, so... Although, in this case, we do see... So what's been taken? A common and a rare, so I really don't know if I can make the signal quite yet. That being said, I think the best thing to take here actually would be a... I'll take the Rust Scarab. It's a nice evolver for later on. Although the fact that this has not been taken is sort of suggesting that Orzhov might be open, but let's go with the cards that we have for now. And this is a bit expensive, but it's a great evolve. It's a great evolve trigger later on. So, okay, no surprise that this is here because this is completely unplayable. Terrible card. Not in Simic. I think if we do want to say Simic, although it is looking more and more like Orzhov is open again, but I'm not sure. I also feel... Let's take the Burst of Strength. It's actually quite a good card in Simic, so... Again, not so many... Plenty of... This card is great in Simic too, but not so many creatures. That's why I'm a little bit worried. And again, another Knight of Obligation. But let's just stick with the colors that we have. At the very least, people to the other side of me will also be getting the hint that I'm going into Simic, and hopefully our next card will get us some good greens and blues. That being said, I mean, I guess it's only 5th pick, but I do wish that we had some more evolved creatures. That was from the last tournament. I really don't want to take this, but honestly, I think it's better than Millennial Gargoyle. And I feel like that was a pretty weak pack in general. There was nothing there that was like, go into this guild. Spire Tracer is decent. The best again. Seems like maybe Orzhov was the way to go. But this manipulator really can be an annoyance, so let's try to stay with Simic, although I will probably regret this. Metropolis Sprite is pretty decent for our deck, so again, not so much evolve, but well, this is the pack we've started with, and I actually I don't know. I mean, it feels unlikely that we'd get no evolved creatures, but at the same time, I feel like if anyone was really keen into Simic, we would not be getting this gridlock back because it's probably one of the best cards for Simic. I'm not sure what to take of this. I mean, Orzhov was pretty open. That was pretty clear. Maybe now I feel like we should have gone into it, but I wonder if this is actually even worth anything. Because honestly, I'm not going to take anything else, so might as well just jokingly take this form. This mythic. It's an absolutely terrible card, and you really have to build around it. But Force Adaptation is actually okay, but there are many things I'd take over it. Oh, well, this is definitely something we want to play in a Simic deck. Very nice card. Gyro Stage, and great mana ramp, so we don't even have to worry about... Well, we have to worry less about creatures, about mana issues, expensive mana. Because this can really ramp up like crazy. We will definitely take the Shamble Shark here, as it is a Simic staple. I don't know, hopefully... Biovisionary, actually it's sort of a useful enabler, but honestly, I feel like here, I'd be more than happy to splash red for a Gore Clan Rampager. It's a really solid card. Wasteland Viper is nice, but I'm really tempted with the Oculus just because it's a nice Evolve Enabler. But I feel like this is great removal, so maybe I'll take the Viper. Also, it's more likely that we'll get the Oculus back. Krakenura is definitely the pick here. Krakenura and Shamble Shark are just staples in any Simic deck, so... Ooh. I'd love the Denizen, but Elusive Krasis is... It's one of my favorite Simic cards. Maybe, honestly, sometimes I feel like the Denizen would actually be a better choice, but we might get others in the pack, and the Krasis is definitely something that... It's much more, basically, it's much more likely we'll see a Denizen again than a Krasis, and Krasis can be pretty dangerous, and it's also a great evolver for all of our other things. It'd be nice to get some Cloudfin Raptors, some more Shamble Sharks, or Krakenuras. An Experiment 1 would be great, but I feel like it's probably not going to last this long. It'd be an incredibly late pick. But then again, the Flux Mage, interesting. That one's actually useful because we can put stuff on our manipulator with it. It's not normally something I'd take, but it's not ultra terrible for us. It's seeming a little less likely that we'll splash red just for the Rampager, but maybe we'll get some red cards. It's actually, I like this card quite a bit, but maybe it belongs in Gruul and nowhere else. And we'll take the denizen here very happily. This is honestly probably one of the best denizens. And fits great with the Simic deck. I wouldn't mind a Mind Eye Drake here. It's a flyer, it'll evolve. It's normally a bit expensive, but again, if we get our Gyre Sage out, Gyre Sage, I'm not sure, it could get pretty powerful, although it'll also probably be a bit, prime removal target. I'm okay taking a Guild Mage here. If we can delay for some time, it actually can be incredibly helpful. Also, actually, a force adaptation of Simic Manipulator would be pretty hilarious. Although, again, something that would be very much primed for removal. Nothing I like here. Actually, none of these are really... I'll take Coarse Confession, but I will not play it. Actually, I'm surprised that this denizen went late. I think it's a better choice than the Haven. We have enough ramp with the Sage, and I think we need creatures to enable other things. Totally Lost is actually pretty okay. It's a bit expensive. I much prefer... Shift might, again, actually be playable with the Simic Manipulator, but... It's another thing I'm not ultra keen on. Ooh, I think here... Definitely the Krasis. We want the Krasis. It's looking like we probably won't splash for the Rampager just because we really don't have enough red cards to warrant putting lots of sorry. We don't have enough red cards to warrant screwing up our mana base just to splash. It's a good card, but it's not worth the risk of having, 2 reds in a hand and then being able to play nothing that we own, especially with this Manipulator's double blue. So it's a bit hard to splash with that. Possibly if we get a bunch of Gruul Guild Gates, but even then, for a splash, I'm not sure. Wow. I mean, I guess no one's... This is a really expensive card, and it might actually be interesting to try to splash red for it. I don't really like anything else here that much, although I remember losing to Tower Defense and being quite bitter about it, but it'd actually be pretty hilarious. And with the Gyre Sage, we might be able to pull it off, too. So... And it'll give us reason to splash red, so... I feel like this is probably a terrible idea, but it's fun. It'll be the first guild leader I've ever played in a deck, although not in his own colors. So... Actually, this card, Guild Mage, especially since we're splashing red, is tempting. But Krakenura is great, and it'll give us time to get to our more expensive spells. Although really sad to pass up a Scar Guild Mage. Really great card, in my opinion. It's always done wonders for me, but... Again, it's sort of heavy on the red, and I'm not sure if we want to splash so much. And again, it's especially... Now I'm regretting that, but Krakenura is nice and defensive. I mean, this is... On the one hand, this is pretty red heavy, but on the other hand... Alright, I think I'm going to start splashing some red because they're just good red cards. Ground Assault is excellent removal, so... all of a sudden Gruul opened up. Now I feel even worse for not taking the Scar Guild Mage. But Gruulic works well together. I think the Scab Clan Charger is the way to go here. Now I am sort of kicking myself for passing up on that Scar Guild Mage. It's actually better than the... I think 2 drops are always nice. The Disciple is here, especially since we are going to splash some red to hopefully be able to... like Pit Fight, some nice removal. So one thing I do want to mention, so Grind Assault is nice for us because even though it's red-green, it's actually a card that you want to play later as you get more lands, so it's effectively more up here, so it doesn't matter that we don't have to splash red too early for it. Bomber Corp we would, so I probably won't play that, but, you know, I'll take the Guildgate. We might need some mana fixing. I would prefer a Gruul Guildgate, though, which it doesn't look like we'll be able to get. We can take an Ember Beast, but I think out of all our red, it's probably the least worth splashing for. We won't play the Bioshift, but we'll take it. Wish there was a Gruul Guildgate. Now I'm also regretting passing up those, God. Oh, I forget what it is. It's the enchantment. It's a land enchantment. It's for 3, gives you 2 life, and enchanted land taps for mana of any color. Actually, especially given that we are a more defensive Simic deck that wants to get up and play stuff like Borborygmos Enraged. This is interesting. Definitely interesting. Again, I'm really sad I passed up that Scar Guild Mage now, but what can you do? So let's see. We definitely want the Gyre Sage. Krakenuras, a Disciple, Wasteland Viper. Let's sort by mana cost just to see where we stand on everything. Scab Clan Charger is good. Ivy Lane is good. I will actually play the Anemones in this deck. Okay, we need to cut one thing. Burst of Strength might actually be not be a bad thing to bring in. What do we need the least? Maybe we don't need so many anemones with the... Okay, we have a very low curve, which is not... it's not bad at all. Get rid of one last thing. I'm almost tempted to get rid of the Drake, but it's flying, so that's nice. This is actually a hard cut to make. Maybe we don't need the Sage's Road Denizen. I feel like it's the worst for denizens. Alright, so let's try this. I wish we'd gotten... oh, I wish we'd gotten some more mana fixing. Again, I was definitely not planning to play Borborygmos, but I feel like this is fun. And I've seen worse mana bases, so add land, suggest, that sounds about right. I might actually up the islands, especially if you want to get the Simic manipulator out. So hopefully this will be a maintainable land base. It's not ultra ugly. Again, wish I had some more mana fixing. Alright, we'll give it a try, and I'll see you when the round starts.